Welcome back. The Bauchi State Governor, Bala Mohammed, has declared an emergency situation in some communities affected by flood and threatened by the overflow of rivers. He calls on the federal government to urgently respond to the calls for the construction of the Kafin Zaki Dam and other smaller dams to ease the difficulties. No fewer than 10 deaths have so far been recorded, with several houses and farmlands destroyed since flood hit the state this year. Our correspondent, Hajara Aliu, gives more details.
Many businesses stalled in Jama'ari Market, which has been overtaken by flood waters. The community is suffering from the overflow of this river, which has also destroyed over 1,000 hectares of farmlands this year. 14 local government areas of Bauchi State are affected by the flood, but Jama'ari is one of the worst hit. Maybe the visit of Governor Bala Mohammed to Jama'ari will bring some kind of comfort to the people.
I want at this juncture to inform the Jama'ari local government authority and all the people here that His Excellency Mr. President has approved the release of 800 million naira for the flood rehabilitation under ecological fund for Jama'ari.
The governor continues on his visits to other affected communities. In Zaki, this mass of water tells the story of the devastation that took 5 lives. Governor Mohammed makes a case for the urgent need of a dam.
It's devastating. We have lost livestock, we have lost human beings, and so forth. So it's terrible, but we will make it, inshallah.
We are calling on the federal government to know that these upstream communities, Ruaningi, Jama'ari, are exposed to danger of being washed away.
The floodwater spreads across vast lands. In this village, the saturated ground remains the only access route to some households. The level of damage caused across the affected local government areas in Bauchi State cannot be ascertained for now, as the State Emergency Management Agency says it is still carrying out an assessment. From the Sina in Shira local government area, Hajara Aliu, Channels Television News.
Thank you, Hajara. And from there, we're going on to the business news of the day. Here is Bisi Adebayo.
You First. First Bank.
Welcome to Business News. Nigeria has lost as much as 22 million barrels of oil to theft in the first half of 2019. But that's according to the governor of Edo State, Mr. Godwin Obaseki, who's the chairman of the ad hoc committee of the National Economic Council on Crude Oil Theft, Prevention and Control. It says the figure could double by the end of the year if nothing is done to combat theft, which has become a threat to the country's economy. The stolen oil amounts to more than 120,000 barrels per day, or roughly 6% of Nigeria's nearly 2 million barrels per day output. In its June monthly report, the NNPC announced a 77% rise in pipeline vandalism, noting 106 pipeline breaches in June, and that's up from 60 in May. Meanwhile, Vietnam's Binh Son Refining and Petrochemical has bought 1 million barrels of Bonny Light crude in its first ever import of Nigerian crude. The Asian country bought the crude cargo in mid-August for delivery in October to November for its 130,000 barrel per day Dong Quat refinery. The traders say the price levels for West African crude grades like Bonny Light are competitive compared with regional sweet or low sulfur crude grades in the Asian markets. Binh Son, which is Vietnam's first refinery, is stepping up efforts to reduce its dependence on the country's dwindling domestic crude supply and widen its purchase options. Let's take some company news now. United Bank for Africa has announced its audited half-year financial results for the period ended June 2019, showing a double-digit growth in its profit before tax, which increased by 21% to 70.3 billion naira for the period. In a report filed to the Nigerian Stock Exchange, the Tier 1 lender also recorded an improved profit after tax of 56.7 billion naira, representing a 29.6% growth from the same period in 2018. Interest income increased by 9.4% to 204.9 billion naira from 187.3 billion in 2018, while total equity grew by 7.9% to 542.5 billion naira. The Group Managing Director and CEO of UBA, Mr. Kennedy Uzoka, says the bank sustained its asset quality with a non-performing loan ratio down to 5.62%, and that's from 6.45% as at full year 2018. And it's also an impressive half-year 2019 result for Tier 2 listed lender Fidelity Bank, which had a headline revenue of 103.6 billion naira and earnings per share of 47 kobo. The earnings release of the bank also reveals that the net profit of 13.6 billion naira recorded was boosted by fee and commissions income of 13.09 billion naira and other operating income of 4.7 billion naira. Meantime, Fidelity Bank's half-year interest expense jumps to 48.9 billion naira. Personnel expenses was higher to 11.6 billion naira and cost-to-income ratio climbing 11.2%. The lender says total items that will be reclassified to profit or loss in the subsequent period amounts to 4.29 billion naira. Let's turn to the Nigerian equities market now, which ends the week and the last trading day of August upbeat, regaining nearly 50 billion naira in value. Let's get details from Teniola Shibowale.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The stock market closed the last trading day of August in the green, reversing the losses recorded in Thursday's session by 0.37% and regaining nearly 50 billion naira in value. This comes amid a mixed performance by the NSE's two most capitalized equities, as MTN Nigeria's share price recovered 1.55%, while Dangote Cement fell further by 0.31%. However, the cement giant's loss had no effect on the industrial goods counter, which ended Friday's session up by 1.01%, while the oil and gas as well as consumer goods sector added some supports to the market's rebound. UACN recovered 9.89% from its previous loss to lead 20 other advances. Royal Exchange is among the top three losers just a day after the NSE lifted suspension on its shares. Overall volume of shares traded today rose by the 8.72 million units against Thursday's session at 124.78 million, largely driven by the shares of Access Bank. And that's the Stock Market Report. I'm Teniola Shibowale.
Thanks, Tenny. And globally, hopes of easing trade tensions between China and the United States helped a gauge of stocks edge higher today, despite slight weakness on Wall Street. Let's check out today's numbers. And that's it on Business News. Thank you for watching. I am Bisi Adebayo.
You first. First Bank.
Thank you, Bissy. Hurricane Dorian is currently a Category 3 storm with maximum sustained winds of 115 miles per hour. But the forecast indicates Dorian may be a Category 4 hurricane with winds between 130 to 156 miles when it strikes. Here's Simon Pusey with more international news in around the world in 5.
Good evening from the Channel's newsroom here in London. The US President Donald Trump has described the hurricane approaching Florida as an absolute monster. Residents are bracing for Hurricane Dorian that is threatening to smack right into the center of the state over the Labor Day weekend. Trump cancelled a visit to Poland scheduled for the weekend, and Florida's governor expanded a state of emergency to prepare for Dorian, which is forecast to make landfall on the Atlantic coast on Monday, classified as a dangerous Category 4 storm.
And now it's looking like it could be an absolute monster. We're ready. We have the best people in the world ready. and they're going to help you. We're shipping food, we're shipping water. But it may be that you're going to evacuate. We're going to see what happens. We're waiting. It does seem almost certain that it's hitting dead center, and that's not good.
Several prominent Hong Kong democracy activists have been arrested in less than 24 hours amid a police crackdown. Joshua Wong and Agnes Chow of the political party Demo Sisto were arrested on Friday for illegally organising a protest before being released on bail. They are among 900 people arrested since protests began in June.
We strongly experienced the political prosecution and arrest in the recent months. 2 months ago, I served all of my jail sentence and left prison. Unfortunately, under chilling effects generated by Beijing and Hong Kong government, we're strongly aware that how they arrested activists, no matter act progressively or moderately. All we ask for is just to urge Beijing and Hong Kong government withdraw the bill, stop police brutality, and respond to our calls on free election.
A Scottish judge has refused to order a temporary halt to Boris Johnson's plan to shut down the UK Parliament. Their request was declined by Lord Doherty, who said he was not satisfied there was a cogent need for an interdict. However, the full hearing will now be heard next Tuesday rather than Friday. It's after Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced he intended to suspend Parliament and hold a Queen's speech, a move many think is designed to stop Parliament legislating against a no-deal Brexit.
I am not satisfied that it has been demonstrated that there is a cogent need for interim suspension or interim interdict to be granted at this stage.
Security forces in Indian-administered Kashmir have been accused of carrying out beatings and torture in the wake of the government's decision to strip the region of its autonomy. Several villagers claimed they have been beaten with sticks and cables and given electric shocks. It's after unprecedented restrictions have put Kashmir into a state of lockdown for more than 3 weeks. The restrictions were placed after the special status of the region was revoked by the Indian government. Earlier, tens of thousands gathered at a rally in Pakistan as leader Imran Khan warned India against showing any aggression. The numbers of people who have died in the current Ebola outbreak in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo has reached the 2,000 mark. Health authorities have struggled to contain the spread of the virus. Neighbouring Uganda said that a 9-year-old girl with Ebola who had crossed the border had died. The World Health Organization has called the situation one of the world's most complex humanitarian crises. This outbreak in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo is the second largest on record, with the number of cases now exceeding 2,000, according to the government. The Japanese Emperor and Empress have welcomed African leaders to tea following the Tokyo International Conference on African Development. Emperor Naruhito and Empress Masako met presidents and delegates at the Imperial Palace in Tokyo. The 7th Tokyo International Conference on African Development was being held this week in Yokohama, located just outside the capital. United Nations peacekeepers are pushing women in the Central African Republic to grow crops through a farming project that wants to bring communities together to run profitable farms while promoting peace. Participants who are enrolled on the programme come from various women groups. They are trained on improved farming methods and financial management skills. The Farming for Peace project was started by the United Nations Multidimensional Integrated Stabilisation Mission in the Central African Republic. And finally, the Dutch city of Rotterdam has been chosen to host the 2020 Eurovision Song Contest.
In a city where being different doesn't make a difference at all, and where everyone can make it happen.
Rotterdam beat its only other rival, the southern town of Maastricht. As the winning nation, the Netherlands automatically become the host of the next round of the world's biggest live music event, which reached more than 180 million viewers worldwide in 2019. It will be the 5th time that the Netherlands, which has a population of 17 million, has hosted the contest. Dutch singer-songwriter Duncan Lawrence won this year's contest, the first time the Netherlands had won the contest since 1975. And that's your international news around the world in 5.
Thanks, Simon. Still ahead on the news at 10, Team Nigeria retained second position at the African Games medal board after another impressive performance on day 15 in Rabat. Stay with us.